Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to learn about the scatterplot function of the relational plots. So let's begin the topic. You all know that the values for two or different variable are represented by the dots in the scatterplots, as we have learned it in the matplotlib library. And each dot location on the horizontal and the vertical axis represent the data points value. And to visualize the relationship between these variables, we utilize the scatter plots, and in the Seaborn library, we have a scatter plot function. Basically, the relational plot function by default draws the scatter plot, but the only difference between the scatter plot function and the relational plot function is that the scatter plot function has some extra functionalities. So the syntax for this function is Seaborn dot scatterplot, and in parentheses we pass different parameters that we are going to use. So the first two parameters are the xy. It represents the data location on the x and the y axis. The next one is hue. Basically it is a grouping variable that produce a component with different colors. The third one is size. It is also a grouping variable. It also produces the components with the different sizes. The next one is style. It is a grouping variable that produces a component with the different styles. The next one is palette. It generates a variable with different color map values. The next one is alpha. It controls the opacity of the points. The next one is marker. It is used to change the marker style of the plot. And the last one is data. It represents the data set that we are going to use. So we will learn this topic with the help of example. So I will show you the different example related to this. So here are our examples. So I will explain you firstly the basic scatter plot visualization. Here you can see that I call the set function as I want to change the appearance of the plot. I pass keyword argument style to it and set its value to dark. After that, I call the scatter plot function as I want to visualize the simple basic scatter plot, and as a x I pass a distance column, y as a tip column, and I pass data equals to data underscore set. In the previous video, I have explained you what this data set represent. Basically, it represent the name of the data set that we are using, and in this case, we are using the Texas data set. Then I want to add labels at the x-axis and the y-axis. I call the x-label function and the y-label function. I pass the label as an argument to both of the function. Additionally, I want to change the font size of label. So I pass keyword argument font size to both of the function. Set its value to 15. I also want to change the color of the labels. I pass the keyword argument color and set its value to R, which means red. Then to add a title on the plot, so we get to know what this plot represents, I call the title function, pass title as an argument, and I also change its font weight by passing a keyword argument font weight to it and setting its value to bold. And last I call the show function as I want to display the plot on the user screen. Now I execute this cell and show you the output, how the scatter plots look. You can see that this plot represents the distance versus tip. Here y-axis represent the tip and the x-axis represent the distance. I want to show you something. So here is our code for the relational plot. I use the same x-axis and the same y-axis data points, and here you can see that these plots look like this. So you can conclude that by default the relational plot also draws a scatter graph. So now I will move to the scatter plot function again, and here you can see that it both has same graph, as the scatter plot function and the relational plot function by default work same as a scatter plot. Now we are going to learn how to modify the marker style. So from the above example, you have seen that the circle marker is used to represent the data point as a default marker in the blue color. But we can customize these blue marker by using the marker attribute in the scatterplot function. So here you can see that firstly I call the set function as I want to change the appearance of the plot, pass style as a keyword argument to it, set its style to dark. Then I call the scatterplot function to plot a graph between the passengers and the tip. I pass hue as a keyword argument to it, as I want to group colors data point with different colors. Then you can see that I additionally pass the marker as a keyword argument to it. As I want to modify the marker style, so I pass this keyword argument and I set its value to small s, which means here. Then I call the x label and the y label function for adding the labels at the x-axis. I also call the title function to add a title on the plot, and last I call the show function to display the plot. Now I execute this cell also and show you the output. You can see that this plot represents the passengers versus tip. Y-axis represent the tip and the x-axis represent the passengers, and here we have two colors. Here represent the yellow taxi and the orange here represent the green taxi, and you can see that this plot represents the plotted points in the form of a square instead of the circles. Now we will move ahead and learn to modify the color and the opacity of the point. So firstly, in order to change the appearance of the plot, I have called the set function, passing the keyword parameter style to it and set its style to the dark grid. Then you can see that I call the scatter function as I want to visualize the data between the distance and the total point of the taxi data set. Additionally, I pass the hue keyword argument to group the pickup raw data points with different color. And I also pass the palette as a keyword argument to the function as I want to change its value to bright because it utilized to generate the scatter plot with different color map. And sometimes we want to decrease or increase the opacity of the points. At that point we call the alpha parameter. So I pass the alpha parameter to control the proportional opacity of the point and I set its value to 0.5. And again I call the x label and the y label function, title function and the show function. Now I execute this cell also. You can see that this plot represents the distance versus total graph. The y-axis represent the total, x-axis represent the distance. The hue is used as the pickup brow and it represent the 4 pickup brows, and these data point represent pickup brows with different color map, and we set its opacity to 0.5, so it look like that. So with this we have also learned about the scatter plot function of the relational plot, and in the next video we will learn about the line plot function.